Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of The Committee Reads. I am your host KWCs, and with me today I have Unicorn, his naval base plane that's flying by, Gray Shot, Alex, and Nagoda in spirit. Today we will be reading Match 123, Gabara vs. Gezora by Lucas Salibert. Gabara yawned as he awoke from a deep slumber, a slumber filled with bullying little kids and lizards. He looked around for a small morsel for a pre-breakfast snack. All he saw were palm trees and little animals. No, Gabara wanted some real meat. He stumbled down towards the bay of his small cove and found nothing but washed-up carcasses of several whales and sharks. He would have gladly eaten them if they weren't already feasted on. The size of the bites told Gabara that he wasn't the only Kaiju on the island. The ogre snarled. This new creature would have to learn the hard way that Gabara gets his way first in his domain. He followed the trail of carcasses to a clearing in the center of the island, leading to a huge lake where he found what he was looking for. A giant squid-like monster. This creature could be easily taken care of. Gezora was finishing a pleasant meal from the fish he had found in the ocean, his large tentacles having repeatedly dove into the water and snatched up any undersea creature he could fit into his beak. The cuttlefish wriggled his arm ever so slightly, as it kept its grip around the great white's tail. The predatory fish didn't even have a chance to be frozen to death by Gezora's icy touch when the beast gulped it down in a single bite. He and his stomach together growled with satisfaction as he finished the last of his meal. He was done for now, and was about to return to his peaceful grotto when it showed up. Some hideous ogre-like monster stood in Gezora's way. Not being smart enough to recognize the threat standing in front of it, Gezora simply walked past the monster. That was his first mistake. Pass.
Gabara let out a war cry just before he struck, slamming his fist into Gezora's head and knocking him around. He got in closer to the squid and started raining down a series of punches. Gezora cried out in agony as the hideous ogre punched him again and again and again, until he reached up and wrapped some of his tentacles around Gabara's neck. Though it took a moment, Gabara eventually started to have a hard time breathing. He started squirming, trying to pull the cephalopod's tentacles away. Gabara was choking, feeling the cephalopod's strong arm crush his windpipe as the amount of air going in and out of his lungs grew smaller with each breath. Finally, he grabbed hold of one of Gezora's tentacles and released his electric shocks into it. With a shriek, Gezora released him, badly burnt. Gabara stood there a moment, trying to catch his breath as Gezora started to retreat. This angered the ogre even further. The coward wasn't even standing his ground. Gabara advanced quickly and hoisted Gezora high into the air, tossing him onto the beach. Gezora got up slowly, stunned by the crash. Gabara rushed at the squid, but Gezora lashed out, yanking his feet out from under him. Gabara tried to reach it towards his tentacles to shock the giant cuttlefish, but he was just out of reach. The cephalopod yanked him into the water, holding his head down. Gabara struggled to reach the giant sea creature, but found an easier solution. Though it would injure him, it would also devastate the aquatic beast. He put his hands back in the water and let his own currents join the waters. It started to singe him, then it hurt like hell, but the squid was catching fire. Gezora rushed out of the water as fast as he could, back onto land. If he wanted to win, he would have to do it in the ogre's territory. Once Gabara was within striking distance, Gabara started bombarding him with his tentacles. Gezora started bombarding him with his tentacles. Though not very powerful, the crack of the whip's speed the extremities had was enough to give the beast a fair amount of pain. Gabara put up his left arm to try and defend his head, but as he swung it up, the arm swung his tentacles down, nearly dislocating Gabara's arm. Gezora started to feel lucky as this new method seemed to be working. Just then, he realized that one of his tentacles seemed to be stuck on the beast's head. Gezora started to feel a great amount of pain coming from his arm, and realized that the tip of the tentacle had become caught on the bright orange horn on Gabara's head. Seeing the opening he was waiting for, Gabara lashed out and grabbed the tentacle. With a tug, the ogre tore the limb completely away from Gezora's body. Pass.
Gezora let out a high-pitched screech of agony as he watched his extremity being yanked out of its socket. This ogre was too strong. He had to retreat. As the green beast tried to grab Gezora in the stump where his arm once was, the cuttlefish began to retreat. Amazingly, Gezora got a good head start, keeping a good distance from Gabara as he approached his grotto. Gabara couldn't let that stop him, however, picking up a nearby boulder and throwing it, hitting the squid in the back. It hurt Gezora to even breathe, which was a problem for him on land anyway. He looked up and saw a familiar sight. His grotto. He was only a skip and a hop away from the water. If he could just crawl forward a little bit, he would escape to safety. But his foe had a different agenda. Advancing quickly, Gabara snatched the cephalopod in his claws and hoisted him in the air. Gabara was taken by surprise, and the squid heft and tired and sore, sent the creature hurling into the wake. Though stunned, Gezora began to move further into the waves. He thought perhaps the ogre was giving him a break. Thinking the squid had learned his lesson, panting angrily, Gabara watched as the cephalopod swam away. Then the ogre realized something. That squid had shamed him. Such a weak creature, able to hold his own against the great Gabara? This was unacceptable. Gabara's eyes filled with fire as his body left off static shocks of anger. Gabara was not done with the sea creature, and dove into the water. Though injured and exhausted, Gezora was sure the ogre would not be a match for him. After all, the water was his domain. Just as Gabara reached him and prepared to strike, the cuttlefish lashed out with his tentacles. He had harboring Gabara across the face, taken by surprise. Gabara allowed Gezora to hit him again and again, knocking him back towards the shore. One more blow sent Gabara toppling onto the sand. Gezora watched the fallen ogre and let out a victory cry before turning back and heading out into the water. As he lay there on his back...
Pass.
Oh, sorry, pass.
It's alright.
I don't know what he was apologizing for. He was doing my job. As he lay there on his back, Gabara cried out into the air in frustration at his loss, slamming his fist onto the ground, but then he realized where the squid was, rolling over into the stomach. Gabara sneered. He was never a good loser. Reaching out, Gabara placed his hand in the water and let the electricity leave his body. Gabara watched as the smoke and fire came from the now bronze crisp pod. He stood there and watched in glory as the sight of his deep-fried enemy and breakfast. Winner, cheating.
Winner, Gabara. Alright. Alright. So, I have to say, first off, I think this is probably the first new author we've gotten in a while. At least, kind of moving forward with these. Lucas Salibert, I believe, is Christian Salibert's brother. And for first match, it's pretty good. I like it. I think there's a certain, it doesn't stay around for too long. I think the monsters kind of get their hits in decently. There is a certain comedic element to it. Granted, using Gabara and Gezora, I think would certainly helps with that.
Oh, definitely.
So, especially, I think the banner is also reflects this too. It's like Gezora running away from Gabara. I always found that really funny.
Yeah, in the context of that, yeah, I never really staring at Gabara's just like you.
Yeah. Could you repeat yourself? You kind of cut out there.
Oh, I always just thought Gabara was just staring at Gezora. Gezora was just walking along, and Gabara's just like, you.
That could be it too, because there was that point where Gezora just kind of waltz on by without any real care in the world, so it could be that too. Easily be that. But no, I think this is a decent first match from Lucas Salibert. I think he wrote at least one more match after this, so unfortunately he's not recurring, but hey, I look forward to his next match, which I think was Red King versus Gigan, 134, if I remember right. But
yeah, I just remember his icon on the site. But yeah, he wrote some interesting matches.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see the future, because yeah, I know quite a few more actually. Well, at least a few more, because I think he came in and I remember him popping on specifically after the whole KWC quote unquote coup. But no, it was cool. Yeah, it was a very funny, maybe not funny, but it's like a humorous styled match.
Yes.
One will say. And I like the creativity of Gabara using the water to his advantage.
Definitely.
Even if it hurt him. I think that's one of the most unique aspects of this match.
Right, that there was clearly a drawback to it. And even he still wins at the end, but it's still like, not all things come as easy, even though it does end with them basically just doing the same thing twice, if you will. Like, lightning strikes twice, if you will. Quite literally in this case. But no, I think this is a decent, humorous match, and I think that's what I really like about it, is that it has a certain punch of humor without overstaying it. Yeah.
Oh man, poor Scaly, am I right? Getting killed by Gabara. Let's see. Back to the banner. I genuinely enjoy it. It does reflect the match, and I genuinely just enjoyed the match. These two monsters I don't really look out for, but this was a pretty good match for featuring these two monsters, showing their strength. And yeah, I don't really have much to say about this one.
Alright, let's see. Nagoda, if you are there, tell us what you thought of the match.
Well, I kind of unmuted around near the end, so yeah. I like how Gezora was basically beating up Gabara and then started leaving, and then Gabara, was, being the sore loser he is, electrified the whole lake. Also, banner's pretty nice.
Alright, and Alex, what'd you think of the match?
Yeah. Just a typical match. Nothing really to say.
Alright, so with that said, I do feel like this has been match 123, and we will see you guys next time for match 124. Till then, everyone.